Well, hello and happy Wednesday, everyone. It is digital host A.J. Wuest welcoming you back to Before the Four, where I take you through some of 48's top stories and then some before our 4 p.m. newscast. Wherever you're watching right now, whether that's on Facebook, YouTube, or the 48 Now live stream page, I want to, of course, thank you for watching and spending a little of your Wednesday afternoon with me here on the webcast. With that said, I think it's time we dive into today's top stories. And starting things off with such a tragic situation in our neighboring state earlier today, a suspect is now in custody after a shooting occurred at a Georgia high school that killed at least 4 and injured 9. The shooting happened this morning around 9:30 at Appalachia High School in Barrow County, Georgia. Dozens of ambulances and officers arrived on the scene. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation is continuing to update the situation. And take a listen to what some people shaken by today's tragic shooting had to say.
My daughter called me at work screaming that there was a shooter at Appalachia and begged me to get there as quick as possible. So I went and told the office manager and took off. I feel sorry for the kids that they've had to experience such evil. So
I can tell this is tough for you.
it is. I feel really sorry for the kids that they've had to experience this, and the parents who got those phone calls that it was their child. So he was with the principal, and the principal told him, run to the band room, don't look back, just keep running.
So I'm picking up my neighbor's son. He's like my nephew. She works in Alpharetta. So I was actually at a client in Winder. And she's like, oh my God, can you go to the school? There's been a shooting at Kimani School. And I said, what happened? And as I stopped, I turned around because we're parents. You know, parents, this is a parent's worst nightmare. He actually heard the shooting. He's like, they're shooting right across from my classroom. And so, you know, he called his mom devastated, I'm sure.
Yeah, have you been able to speak with him?
I saw him. Yeah,
okay,
he's
how's
great.
He doing right now?
He's good. I saw him. We talked across the fence. However, if I went on that side of the fence, if it takes 3 or 4 hours for them to interview all the students, then I have to stay there that time. And I'm sure he's devastated. He probably don't want to finish the rest of the year. You know, he's his last year, and this is what happens. But how does this happen?
Such a sad day indeed, and my thoughts are certainly with those families. Now, let's head into a few of our local stories before we head to the weather later on. And here is a story in Huntsville. A 16-year-old was charged with capital murder following a shooting yesterday afternoon. An officer responded to Huntsville Hospital after 3 gunshot victims arrived for treatment. One of the victims died in the hospital, and one other victim remains in the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Madison County Coroner Tyler Berryhill says the victim who died was just 15 years old. The officer discovered the shooting involved juveniles in 2 vehicles on Max Luther Drive. Officers arrived on scene and recovered evidence. Hours after the shooting, the suspected vehicle in the shooting was located and 2 juveniles were detained and interviewed. One of them was charged with capital murder while the other was released. Investigators believe the incident involved an ongoing dispute between the juveniles that began before September 3rd. Officials say on the day of the shooting, the victims were followed from the area of Blue Spring Road and Sparkman Drive to Max Luther Drive, where the shooting happened. This investigation remains underway and additional arrests are expected. And now another story. In Decatur, city leaders met for the very first time yesterday since Mayor Tab Bowling announced a proposal to step down. This comes in exchange for protests outside his home to end. According to our news partners at the Decatur Daily, Mayor Bowling offered to step down during several closed-door meetings last week. One of those meetings was with Catrella Perkins, the widow of the late Steve Perkins, who is suing the city. During the meeting, Bowling asked for protests outside his home and public comments about his performance at council meetings to stop. Last night, members of the city council, including Hunter Pepper, questioned those closed-door meetings, questioning why the mayor held the closed-door meetings over his position as mayor. Councilman Pepper concluded his statement with, "That doesn't set very well," in his opinion. Now a story, in case you missed it yesterday, out of Gunnersville, where city leaders are reporting between a 4 and 5% increase in sales tax from the summer this past year. 48 Savannah Sapp spoke with Tiffany Wimshat. She is the owner and innkeeper of the Lake Gunnersville Bed and Breakfast, as well as City Councilman Randall Whitaker. And take a listen to what they had to say regarding tourism in Gunnersville.
This town is so special, and it's a hidden gem that definitely is sprouting, spreading its wings.
Everybody's working hard, even on the state park level and stuff, to make sure that Gunnersville's a destination, and Gunnersville State Park is our largest lodging tax contributor and stuff, so we have a lot of visitors coming there, and so I think it all just works together.
Awesome. A great getaway destination, in my opinion. It is so pretty down there. But now it's time we talk about the weather. 48 First Alert Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis can certainly do that. Brad?
All right, AJ, it's been a breezy and it felt cooler out there. At least it was earlier today, but we've still hit the upper 80s to near 90. The showers are off to the west in around Memphis, but they are tracking somewhat to the east. And as they move east, we're bringing in more clouds, and the best chance of rain will be farther out to the west. But it is a warm afternoon, temperatures in the upper 80s. Another look at the rain over here in around Memphis down to Tunica. This may sneak in some areas, especially out in western Alabama, as we get on into the late evening and overnight hours. But what we're watching here, same setup all week. We've got an area high pressure to our northeast pushing in drier air, and we've got a tropical area low pressure just off the coast of Texas that's tracking in our direction. So tonight, breezy, mostly cloudy, a stray shower can't be ruled out, and tomorrow a few spotty showers as well, and we're looking at a high of 85. Each day progressively gets a little cooler as we go from 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon to 7 o'clock in the evening. Just some patchy showers out there, not a whole lot of rain, but it will cool the atmosphere, and when we wake up Friday morning, this is kind of the chance of rain we've been watching all week. It's slowly moving in from the south, but we are going to see cooler temperatures. By noon, we might only be in the 70s, and I'll be at the low 70s as well. And by Friday night football, perfect weather for that. Here's your 10-day forecast. Notice 85 tomorrow, 77 Friday. Some of you may actually be cooler than that, depending on the light rain situation. Then back to 82 Saturday. Saturday is one of those days where it's going to be breezy, especially early, winds gusting 20 to 25. And then Sunday, a cool, almost a chilly start with temperatures in the low 50s, and just a beautiful weekend overall. I've been looking forward to this, the last weekend homestand for the Rocket City Trash Pandas, and we're looking at 84 degrees for the high temperature and Monday, and 86 Tuesday. Overall, some really nice weather coming our way as we head into the weekend. Back to you, AJ.
Well, thank you, Brad. Now in Muscle Shoals, where authorities say a man with an outstanding warrant was arrested today after he was spotted at a preschool. According to Muscle Shoals police, a school resource officer noticed a man he knew was wanted in the car line at Howell Graves Preschool. The SRO contacted the school's principal after noticing the man lingering and put the school on lockdown. Officers arrived on scene and arrested a man later identified as DeMarcus King. King was arrested on the outstanding warrant and taken to the Muscle Shoals City Jail. The preschool was taken off lockdown shortly after King's arrest, just after 8 a.m. Police officials said the warrant was for a misdemeanor traffic violation. And now in Madison County, a man who is accused of shooting and killing his wife in front of their child was released on bond for a second time. According to court documents, Reese Jones, who you see on screen, was released on bond today just before noon. The documents state his original bond conditions were reinstated, but don't go into detail as to why. Back in 2022, police arrested Jones after he allegedly killed his wife, Erin Jones, in front of their 1-year-old child. Now, I think it is time we jazz it up a little bit. The Alabama Women in Jazz Festival is coming to the Speakeasy at Straight to Ale this Friday. Today, I got the chance to speak with Alabama Women in Jazz Festival founder, Miss Patrice Bivens. Such a sweet lady today. I spoke with her for 48 Now, and she spoke about Friday's awesome event, the wonderful women who have shaped jazz music over the years, and she also shared a bit about what inspired her for the genre, what inspired her passion for the genre. Take a listen to a little of our 48 Now interview today. So the festival, the Alabama Women in Jazz Festival, is coming to town this Friday. First, what inspired you to start the Alabama Women in Jazz Festival?
Well, I've always been interested in music, myself, but actually, I have to give to a friend of mine who said, hey, you're doing music, you're around a lot of singers, because I used to manage a lot, A&R, working in A&R. And she said, why don't you do the jazz festival? I'm like, what jazz festival? So, working with women, women in music, and, I've been around it. So that was my inspiration. So I gave it a try, and voila, here we are, a few years later.
But let's get into the history of women in jazz music a little bit. How have women evolved or shaped jazz that we all know and love today?
Well, historically, women performers were mostly singers, Ella, Sarah, Billie Holiday. But there are women who came along later, like Mary Lou Williams and Hazel Scott, Camille Thurman, Esperanza Spalding, and they started to kind of turn the tide of how we look at jazz. Particularly, there are many jazz, women in jazz programs now existing across the country, us being one, and they are just giving women, underrepresented women, more of a visibility and platform. And that's how jazz has changed. And again, jazz is great in Huntsville, and I expect to see more women perform here, and as they continue to come through here across the country.
Certainly a growing music scene here in Huntsville. There is no doubt about it. Patrice Bivens, everyone, with the Alabama Women in Jazz Festival. You can watch that full 48 Now interview on our website. Just go over to WAFF.com, go to digital shows, and finally 48 Now. And come out to the festival this Friday at Straight to Ale on Campus 805. And now a really cool story I saw today. At 99 years old, Georgia McGary was honored by the Switzerland of Ohio schools with her diploma that she should have earned during World War II. However, she had to drop out of high school back in 1944 before graduation that year to help her family during the war. Claire O'Neill reports.
Did you know you were coming here today to get your diploma?
No way. It means an awful lot, because that's been a long time ago, 1944.
McGary thought she was going to dinner when she got a surprise from the Switzerland of Ohio Board of Education. She went to Woodsville High School and would have been a graduate of the 1944 class. But things took a turn and she never got the chance to get her cap and gown. Rather, she went to help her family during the war.
I quit high school in 1944 and went to work. Then, in them days, work wasn't plentiful, and I just quit because my family needed it.
She began working in a pharmacy, then as a janitor with her husband. Even as the years passed, McGary still wanted to graduate. She mentioned this to her friend Marie Adams, who has been planning this special day since May and invited her other friends to come and watch.
It was something that she regretted her whole life, and being 99 years old, I thought it was important that she get her diploma.
Marie called her old classmate and Swiss of Ohio School District Superintendent Phil Ackerman, who helped set up the ceremony. Special graduation music played, and Georgia was able to get her cap, gown, and was presented her diploma by the current Woodsfield principal.
We were just happy to be able to do it. It's actually probably the first time we've had an opportunity to present a diploma to a person who's 99 years old. So I think it's just a privilege. I mean, it's such an honor to be able to do that because of the sacrifices that she made at that time to have to drop out of high school, and the fact that she still wanted that diploma, that it meant so much to her.
Georgia had to wait 80 years to finally get that diploma, but she says she's truly grateful for her friends and family to be there to finally get it.
I loved it very much because all my people are here.
And Georgia is set to turn 100 years old in just a few months. Reporting in Monroe County, I'm Claire O'Neill, News 9.
Well, very great story there. Thank you, Claire. Now, I think it's time we head into the stories you're just not going to want to miss in our evening newscasts. One story, brush fires in the Shoals area during the ongoing drought. 48's Aria Pons today is speaking with local volunteer firefighters on this issue coming up. And finally, a story on the Limestone County Animal Shelter currently up in air. Stick around for the latest 48's Daquan Lee will have for you on this situation coming up. And these are just a few of the stories you're just not going to want to miss in our evening newscast. There'll be a lot more. I say you're probably just not going to want to miss any of our evening newscasts, whether that's the 4, the 5, the 6, the 10, whichever newscast you watch, you're certainly just not going to want to miss it. But with that said, I think it's about that time we head into Facebook fun. And what was our question today? It's very much related to music, as we spoke, of course, with Patrice Bivens with the Alabama Women in Jazz Festival. So let's see what today's 48 Facebook question was. Let's see, it was, what was a popular song when you were a teenager? And if you're new to Before the 4 today, you don't normally watch this, Facebook Fun is how we like to end every single Before the 4. Throughout the day, usually it's around midday, we will ask a question on Facebook. And we do this usually around 11:30 or noon. And you all typically have really great responses, and it really makes me hard to choose some of my favorite ones. Some days I want to take all of the Before the 4 and just have Facebook fun because you all make it super fun. But with that said, let's see what you all had to say. Let's see, Darlene Howard Neese said a song, a popular song when she was growing up was Hotel California. Of course, that's Hotel California by the Eagles, just an absolute legendary song. Very great answer. Thank you so much for commenting, Darlene. Let's see, Deborah Melton, she said, I Want to Hold Your Hand by the Beatles. Another classic. The Beatles, just absolute legendary band. There's no doubt about it. I Want to Hold Your Hand, great song. Deborah, thank you so much for commenting. That is a great answer. Ron Henry said Kung Fu Fighting. Absolutely. That's just that was one of those songs I grew up playing on Guitar Hero because it was just such a fun song to play on Guitar Hero. It was a challenging one, especially on expert mode. I was like, woo, I was going crazy. But Ron, thank you so much for commenting. Greatly appreciate it. The very good song there, by the way. Kathy, another classic by the one and only Prince, Purple Rain. Yes, Kathy, that is a great answer, 100%. Kathy, thank you so much for commenting. And then let's see, Norma said Maggie May by, I believe this is the right, if I'm thinking of the same Maggie May, this is the Rod Stewart Maggie May. And that is a legendary song right there. I've said legendary quite a bit, but they're all legendary songs. I mean, there's no other way to put that. Maggie May is such a good song, and a little story for you all. Anytime the weather is super nice out there, anytime Brad says it's a super nice day outside, and this was just even me growing up, I always consider like March and October to be like the two best weather months here in the South. March is still a little chilly, but it's like perfect hoodie season, and same with October. Days like that, I will drop the top on my Pontiac Solstice when I'm driving down the road, and I will just blast Maggie May by Rod Stewart. I call March and October weather to be Maggie May weather days because there's just something about that song that just radiates positive energy. It radiates positive vibes. Very good song there. Norma, thank you so much for commenting. And everyone who commented today, thank you so much for commenting. But that just about concludes Facebook Fun. And that just about does it for today's Before the Four. If you're watching right now, I want to thank you for sticking around for the end of today's Before the Four. If you haven't done so already, make sure you download the 48 Digital app, the 48 First Alert Weather app, and of course the 48 Sports Zone app. Y'all, week 2 of high school football is underway. We are just a few days before those Friday night lights of week 2 high school football. So you're going to want to get the 48 Sports Zone app, turn on those push notifications, never miss a breaking news story. That goes for all 3 of the apps there. And also, yeah, that's just about all I have to say today, but I hope you all enjoy our evening newscast and enjoy tonight. Have a great time with your family. Or just have a great time with yourself. Do something fun tonight and do something for you. But with that said, thanks for watching. You all have a great night.